Good afternoon to all our viewers. Welcome to our GO2ENERGY Digital TV. As you know that in this month, we are still celebrating women's, and here at SAEC, we are celebrating our very own Women in Energy. Today, I've got a special guest here, and in this episode, we will be looking at her journey from where she started and up until where she began. Well, I've looked into her profile and I've just discovered that when she started working, I was still in preschool. So it's a very, very amazing journey for her, and I hope that we will all enjoy it. Well, let me just give a brief bio about her. She has a national diploma in mechanical engineering in Bulawayo Polytechnic in Zimbabwe, where she did mechanical engineering, drafting and designing technology. And then later on, she went on to complete a BCom in general management degree at University of South Africa. And then after that, she went to the University of Reading in the United Kingdom at Henley Business School Executive MBA program, where she completed the MBA program with distinction. Well, that is not only about her. She is currently a business development executive in Isophone. And then she is currently also a board member in the thermal insulation product and system South Africa, which is TIPSASA. Currently, she is studying towards the CEM, and she also holds experience, almost 18 years experience in, let me just go through it. She has a business management professional with more than 18 years experience, initially in the mechanical and structural industry, and currently in industrial service industry. She has strong commercial and operational capacity, having set up and managed estimating and proposal departments and business units. With her working knowledge and experience in international business strategy, having worked with Kaifa Group Chief Operator Officer in Geneva in Switzerland, and led a multicultural group to achieve group targets. Her current portfolio in business development is hand-on and includes marketing, communication, which is communication, branding, and social responsibility, and budgeting and portfolio analysis skills towards a sustainable business strategy. With full cycle experience, she now seeks next challenge opportunity to make an effective contribution in a successful and relevant organization. Well, that is her. She was once a business unit manager at the Medupi Power Station project. And she is currently doing research regarding renewable energy and working to acquire her certified energy management certificate, which is the CEM. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me welcome into our today's episode, Mrs. Susan Utete. Susan, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Patlacho. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. I just hope I did much better justice to the profile this time.
That was quite a glowing introduction. Wow.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Well, welcome to our SAEC GO2ENERGY Digital TV.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're welcome, ma'am. Okay, let us start. I have gone through your profile and I realized that, wow, your journey is indeed a long walk to freedom, indeed a long walk to success, I can put it that way. Okay, can you kindly just take us?
It has indeed been a long walk.
Yeah, it has been a long walk. Okay, your journey. What inspired such a career path? And why this career path? Can you just share with us the journey, your journey from where it all began, how it all began, who inspired it, who motivated it up until today?
Okay, so I'd say that I think even from a young age, I've always been solutions driven. So I've always wanted to find out. I've always been curious. I've always wanted to find out if someone was talking to me. The first thing I'm already thinking about solving. How can we solve this? Or what can we do? You know. So I think having that approach and also just having this systems approach to life. Like I always thought, no, but this thing must lead to something and it must affect something. So I've always had that very inquisitive nature. I think the biggest influence was my older brother who studied civil engineering. So he's the one that sort of guided me. And then I wasn't sure. I was thinking engineering, but I wasn't really sure like which engineering would best fit. So he actually walked me through that journey and just helped me. So we finally established that, I'd go for mechanical engineering. And that's when the journey began. Yeah, I think, no, please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I hear that. Okay. Currently, just share with us where you have been through, where you have been. I can see that you've been in Gaborone, you've been in Switzerland, you've been like, just share a little bit with us about that journey, the journey of your career, beside the career choosing and all that stuff. Just share with us your experience.
Yes.
From the first day you started working. Let me just put it that way.
Yes. So actually, I started off in Zimbabwe. I qualified and I went straight into the structural fabrication industry. That's pretty much your heavy fabrication. So these are the guys that have huge workshops that are working on plate, like plate thickness from 10 millimeter to about 100 and something millimeter, thick. You're making huge structures, you're making tanks, you're making rolling stock. So that was quite interesting. I actually spent about the first 3 to 4 years of my life in that fabrication in the environment, mining, power generation, all of that. But then going to after that, because the situation in Zimbabwe, I moved on to Botswana, and then there I was working in HVAC. And with the heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and air conditioning environment, you find that that's when my journey in the energy space began, because that's where you really, I think at that time, it was quite a big factor with the CFCs. If you remember the refrigerants that were in use, and then that was the beginning of that conversion and doing away with CFCs, because I think that was when the issues with the ozone started coming out, the real impact of emissions and so on the ozone. So those refrigerants were actually changed at that time. But I was in that environment in the HVAC, and then from there I went into insulation, and that was when I moved into South Africa, and that's when my journey also began with thermal insulation. Industrial thermal insulation, working with your power generation process industries, your SAPRIFs and ESCOMs, SASOLs, the paper and pulp industry, everyone that needed temperature control and energy conservation. So that has pretty much been quite part of the journey. And then, ever since, and now currently I'm with Isoboard, which has been in South Africa for 25 years, producing a very quality product in extruded polystyrene, very energy conscious and good quality products to actually help homes to reach, after this, the implementation of this, environmental control energy performance certificate that is now a requirement for every building. So that's where Isoform comes in and has great impact on the industry.
Okay, that's quite a lovely journey. Okay.
And then of course you asked about Geneva.
Yeah.
As part of my journey before Isoform, with the company I was with before then, I actually took a position overseas internally and worked with the group COO, and I was based in Geneva, but living between Geneva and Bremen in Germany.
Okay. No, that's great. So my question is that, like, I can see that you have had quite an experience, and as a female in this engineering industry, what are the challenges that you came across, more especially in an international level? Because I can see this is not, it was just, you were in different countries, but it was still in engineering. So what were those challenges that you were facing as a Black African woman in the industry?
Yeah, so it was quite interesting. I used to call it the triple handicap, because especially starting way back when I started, it was one thing to be a female, it was another to be Black, and then another to be young. Because, you know, in engineering was generally for your madalas and, you know, people that had worked their way up. So when you were young, you eventually, you pretty much started off at the bottom. But obviously with various qualifications, you didn't always start at the bottom. As you know, if you were not following the on-the-job experience, but you come in with a qualification, then obviously now you're mingling in with a much older generation. So that triple handicap was always interesting, because sometimes you walk into a meeting and they think you're the one who's taking notes. You know, meantime you might be chairing the meeting or you know, doing something. So it's been an interesting journey. I mean, it hasn't been without its obstacles, but also that I've had the privilege of having very good people come alongside, just taking you by the hand and also guiding you, because I mean, they recognize the challenges that definitely would be out there. And I think without those, I think there would have been quite a few breaking points.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And then internationally, I think that the markets were opening up by then. By the time I started with all the multicultural experience that I've had, whether from Botswana, then from the time I moved into Botswana, it was already like expat villages. So I've always been in these expatriate villages where it's quite a healthy mix of different cultures, different professions. So then at least it wasn't so, it was no longer such a challenge. It was more about what you can do and your capability than just exactly like looking at those minor points of whether ethnicity or whatever. So I think working in those expat villages, everyone was bringing something to the table, and it was always interesting to do it. I mean, the funny thing is, when I was in Europe, I actually found that I thought South Africa actually had done a great job in women empowerment, because I think when you look at Europe, you always think they should be way advanced than us. But I actually got the feeling that women are actually more privileged. I mean, I remember my colleagues over there saying that if a woman got to 40 without having settled herself in a career, it would be very difficult to move after that, because, you know, you are not seen in the same light as, you know, the younger generation. Whereas here, I mean, you have women in powerful positions up to their 50s, 60s, and, you know, still working and getting on with it.
Okay, no, that is quite amazing, quite great. Okay, I can see on your profile you mentioned that you are currently working towards your CEM, and also you are doing researches about energy efficiency. Can you just share with us what is it that actually you are researching on specifically, and what is it that you're actually trying to achieve with this CEM?
Well, I think after having worked, I think that the last 15 years will pretty much be in the renewables, in the non-renewable space. You know, I was working with most of our clients are some of the biggest emitters in pollution, etc., and also the biggest carbon footprint. So I think during the time when I left my last employer and I was consulting, I started to really take more interest in the non-renewable side, and just to really try to see what is a good business model. You know, when you look at South Africa, we are still a little bit behind in terms of when you look at what other countries are doing, Europe, etc., with net metering, and just the way that it's so easier for your small embedded generation to function with the major corporates, and how it's becoming you know, just very much more interactive. So I think South Africa is it will get there, especially with the recent you know, loosening up with the energy minister recently increasing capacity that people could have from, you know, people were requesting 50, he gave 100 megawatts, you know, free. But now, of course, is to operationalize it. So I think part of my interest was just looking at that sector, seeing how it can function in South Africa, seeing how the renewable companies, and the renewable companies have grown since the 2010s. They've now found their feet, and I think they're ready to, once these IPP windows start opening up and giving them the threshold to run, I think they'll be able to prove their strength and really deliver for the country. So yeah, that's been my interest. And also just the CEM, my study towards CEM, that has slowed down a little bit, was just pretty much in terms of energy is renewables are the future. So there's no way that we can expect to sustainably live without doing more than we are already. So I think at the moment CEM is something that some people do, but I think we should get to a stage where CEM should be a basic requirement for whether you're an engineer or whatever. I mean, it should form part of your designs, should form part of energy management, and energy considerations should take part in all our aspects of life, you know.
Okay, no, I get that. I guess I need to go get my CEM also.
Yeah, I think you do too. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. You mentioned that currently at your current company, Isoform, you deals with EPC and with...
That's extruded polystyrene, XPS.
Okay, it's XPS. Oh, okay. How will you relate it with the current energy performance certificate, that which like we're offering? We normally offer the trainings regarding the energy performance certificate, which is more related to buildings and all that stuff. So how will you give, and what is your view on it actually?
Well, I think Isoform is very well placed actually, because Isoform is actually supplying insulation into the building space. So your commercial, anywhere that you have a building that considers that needs to be encapsulated with insulation, because Isoform make the extruded polystyrene insulation is actually good for walls, floors, and ceilings. So obviously it has also specific requirements, but it is actually one of the best in terms of aged R values. It is actually one of the best the best insulation, also quite waterproof because it doesn't deteriorate as quickly as other insulations over time. So I think in terms of whether it's low-cost housing, whether it's farms, in terms of your poultry farms, wineries, commercial applications, it's a very good solution. And you'll find that because there's so many advantages to using XPS as an insulation, and also it doubles as a ceiling board because it also has a very, very good finishes that you can use.
Oh, okay. No, I get that. I get that. Okay, so in this energy industry, like, where do you want to see Susan? I don't know after how long. I don't know after how many years. I don't know after how many decades. But in this energy industry, where do you want to see Susan?
Well, at the moment, as you said, I am sitting on the board with CEPSASA, and we've done some very good projects. You know, so part of the journey going forward, I mean, we have to start taking the steps now to get to where we need to get. But I mean, working with CEPSASA, and there's the chairperson of CEPSASA, we've made quite some significant strides. You know, like one of them being that we've instituted the training and the qualification for insulators. You know, insulators were one of the only trade that didn't have a qualification. You had to be on the job trained, and you walked away after years of service with nothing. Okay. So we started to, we actually put together and registered a SAQA qualification for insulators. So they could also, because I mean, scaffolders, everybody has a qualification, but except insulators. So that was one of the projects we worked together with CEPSASA. But generally with CEPSASA, I mean, it's a very ambitious organization that is making great strides for that industry. So I see myself, I have been, I'm in my second term now as a board member, and I think our aspirations for the future and for the industry are quite huge. ISOBoard itself is a member, Isoform is a member of CEPSASA. So yeah, I think the contributions going forward into this energy space is awesome, and I'd like to see more and more a better sort of increase and or decrease in the carbon footprint generally across the industry. You know, I like to see South Africa and Africa in general just being in the forefront for a change instead of always in the background when it comes to some of these major decisions in energy conservation and implementation of different solutions.
Okay, no, that's lovely. That's lovely. I think in future we might need to I might need to hear more about the course that you're offering at TIPSASA. I'm more into like I just need to know what is up there and what can be out there for young people, you know. So to young South Africans, more especially to young South Africans, South African female or African females who actually want to follow your steps, who actually will want to take the path that you're taking, or who are looking upon you. What can you say to them? What advice can you give to them in terms of career-wise, life as a whole? What advice can you give to those young African ladies who are career-driven like you, who want to achieve more into this field, who want to be, some want to be like you, some want to be more than you? What can you say to them?
Oh, yes. Right now, it's funny you ask, because right now my favorite mug has a little caption on it that says, "Be brave." So I just like to say to all the women of Africa out there, just to be brave, because I mean, you need it. There's always things to face. There are always obstacles to face. And I think you just need to continually remind yourself that the challenges will come. You just need to continue to take that breath. Yes, even when you, from the last point of your last weakness or your last failure, you get up and then you remind yourself that you must be brave to move on to the next step. I mean, it's all about women. At least now, there are actually more women mentors out there. And I encourage the young ladies to, and young women to just go out there, find a mentor who's doing what you want to do. And definitely, because I mean, remember, you climb on somebody else's shoulders. And then when you find a mentor, obviously our expectation as mentors is for you to exceed what we have done. So if you are standing on my shoulder, you can't be at the same level as me. If you use my shoulders, you need to go higher. You know, you need to go higher. So use the tools that are available. Reach out to the women around you and men, because a mentor doesn't have to be a woman, but find someone who's doing what you want to do. Ask them how they got there. And oftentimes I seldom hear of anyone that says, "Look, sorry, I haven't got time, please go away." You know, people will always make time. I think everyone is into this thing of giving back. And I remember there's one African proverb that says, "Don't be afraid to plant a tree, even though you may not get to benefit from its shade, but plant that tree anyway."
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I guess this also covers the entire women in African continent, because I thought it was just going to be for the young people, but I can see that it is directly to women. So my last question, okay, my second last question, not last. As a member of TIPSASA, as a board member in TIPSASA, you are automatically a member of SAEC.
Yes.
Well, the SAEC has an annual conference that is starting from the 3rd to the 5th of November in 2021. Are you coming to the conference?
I think we can certainly make arrangements. I have attended quite a few with Des, but yeah, I think we can certainly make provision to be there. At what is the theme for the year?
Moving on, resilience with energy efficiency.
Yes, no, that's a very good topic.
Yeah,
I think we do need to move on. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a break with COVID, but we do need to get that momentum back again.
So as we are moving on, we're expecting you to be part of our journey as we are moving on. And also, if there is any way you can participate in the conference, I mean, by being a sponsor, by being an exhibitor for your company, by being a sponsor, being an exhibitor, being a sponsor, I mean, by sponsoring the event on its own, or sponsoring the tracks, or also the training there, you are more than welcome to contact our events team on our website for that. We will really appreciate that. And hopefully we will see you and meet you there as a delegate. Even if you want to be a speaker, if there is a paper that which you want to share, because according to me, every engineer must have a paper to say, must have written a paper. So if you have a paper, you can present it there. I believe even also, let me just put this into a spotlight a bit.
Oh my goodness, I think the load is getting high.
Yeah, she might do, she might speak, but that one will be finalized. So if you want to speak also, if you have a paper to present, you can also come. You're more than welcome to come. We do accept it as long as it is industry related. Well, yeah, okay, so that was it about the conference. So what is your message in this month for the woman? I mean, this is the Mbokotos month. Any message for them?
Yeah, I'll steal from your theme for the SAEC. Keep on moving, keep on keeping on. You know, yeah. Keep on keeping on. We've made great strides. I must say that where women are today, I mean, it's a long way from where women were before. Yes, things are not quite where they should be, but I think there have been great strides made, and I think we just need to keep that momentum going. Just continue looking out for each other and not working against each other, but keep on keeping on. That's great. That's great. So basically, there's two messages for them today. Be brave and keep on moving on. Yes. That is it. Well, thank you very much, Susan. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of our interview. It has been a pleasure having you here. I have learned a lot. I'm still wondering, how old is she if she started working? Don't even ask. I'm not going to ask. I'm just wondering, how old is she if she started working while I was in primary? So that question will remain, yeah, a mystery. But otherwise, thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it, and I hope all our viewers will enjoy this. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for having me.